One way to try to understand how we got to be the way we are is to look at the fossil and artifact record. Our ancestors diverged from our common ancestor with chimps and bonobos between 5 and 7 million years ago, probably. After diverging, many species evolved. Here you see an artistic rendering of Australopithecus afarensis, who is thought to have lived between 3.9 and 2.9 million years ago. Next, we see here Australopithecus africanus, thought to have lived between 3.3 and 2.1 million years ago. We can't know for sure, but it's plausible that Africanus descended from Afarensis and that we descend from both or from a near relative of them both. We now know that they were bipedal for a very long time, perhaps a couple of million years before their brains started to get substantially larger than that of a chimp. Next, here we see Australopithecus Boise. Some people put this hominin in its own genus, which would make it Paranthropus boise. It appears to have evolved from the earlier Australopithecines, but became specialized like modern gorillas for chomping a fibrous vegetarian diet. It was huge and muscular, like gorillas. Unfortunately, it was probably not an ancestor of ours. It lived 2.3 to 1.2 million years ago. Now, next we see a rendering of what may be the first tool maker. Now we're at the beginnings of our own genus, Homo. This is Homo habilis. This hominin lived between about 2.1 and 1.5 million years ago. These beings were the makers of the Oldowan tool set, shown here. Even if earlier Australopithecines did use stones as tools, perhaps as chimps now do to, for example, open nuts, they do not appear to have intentionally modified stones to have better cutting edges, as Homo habilis did. Oldowan stone flakes and hammers were probably used for butchering and skinning animals, either hunted or scavenged. So by this time, our ancestors were surely eating meat. Next, we see Homo erectus, which was surely one of our direct ancestors. Some people reserve the name erectus for the Asian variant and the name Homo egaster for the African variant. They first evolved in East Africa around 1.9 million years ago and spread throughout the temperate and tropical regions of Africa and Eurasia by about 1.8 million years ago. Depending on where its bones were found, it was given names such as Peking man, Java man, Dmanisi man, and so forth. They may only have died out within the past couple 100,000 years. Some of them made fire. Next, we see here Homo Heidelbergensis, who lived about 700,000 or 600,000 years ago and is the ancestor shared by us, Neanderthals, and the Denisovans. One group migrated into Europe around 500,000 years ago and evolved into the Neanderthals and the Denisovans, whereas the group that stayed in Africa evolved into us, Homo sapiens sapiens. Then, in a second wave, our ancestors left Africa and moved into Eurasia, eventually displacing the Neanderthals and Denisovans probably by about 40,000 to 30,000 years ago. We spread over the whole world and diverged into what we now call different races. Strangely and amazingly, there appears to have been a dwarf hominin member of our genus, Homo floresiensis, on the island of Flores in Indonesia until as recently as 15,000 years ago. Unfortunately, we appear to have displaced them as well.